Hello and welcome to episode 80 of the Wisdom from the Akasha podcast. My name is Suzie. I am your host and I'm an Akashic Records teacher and practitioner. First of all, I would love to say a huge thank you to everybody who takes time to rate the podcast, to leave comments on the podcast, to share it with your friends. I really do appreciate all of the love, all of the support. Making this podcast is one of my favorite things to do, my favorite ways to share my thoughts, share what I have learned from the Akashic Records with you all, and I hope that you all get some benefit from this. Before I get into today's episode, of course, I just want to remind you that the next free Akashic Records workshop is coming up very soon. I'll pop the link into the show notes. We also have level 1 training coming up. So if you have been listening to the podcast for a while and you're really feeling like you want to learn how to go into your own Akashic Records, how to do your own clearing work, that's the class for you. That's the last one for 2025. And of course, the Awakening the Divine Feminine class. The early bird code is still valid for that one. So again, I'll pop a link into the show notes for that one. We'll be getting started in October. Very fitting as it's the season of the witch. So today I wanted to expand on something you will have heard me talk about in the podcast before. I've probably mentioned it in passing, but it's this idea of paying attention to what's being pushed, what programs that you are under, that you've been conditioned into by parents, by society, but taking a look at this from a bigger picture perspective and understanding that in doing this, it can often give you really good hints and tips as to how you can actually do your spiritual development. So today I want to just talk about how going against the grain of what society is telling you and expecting of you and the narratives that are being pushed can help you on your spiritual development path. Now, I know a lot of you will have faced criticism from friends and family when you're on your spiritual journey and, they think you're crazy, they think you're just some tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist. That's very normal, unfortunately. Especially in the West, we're not very well equipped to deal with when people have spiritual awakenings, Kundalini awakenings, breakthroughs where they are able to connect to beings and energies that cannot be seen or sensed by other people. And I know that when that happens, it can be very scary. It can be very upsetting, especially if you have friends and family members who, you love very dearly, but they can't seem to understand you. So please don't think I'm dismissing any of that at all. But what I really want to focus on today is how can we use the current narratives that are out there to really look at, okay, how can I understand what's going on here on that bigger picture perspective and then use it towards my own spiritual development? And that's what I want to get into today. Okay, so the first question I want you to ask yourself when you're on social media, when you're starting to see different narratives, different things play out, ask yourself the question, who benefits from you being disconnected from your higher self? Obviously, we know the answer is not you. On your spiritual journey, what you're doing is you're embodying more and more and more of your higher self. You're embodying more and more and more of your soul. And a lot of the practices that are out there on the spiritual development journey are designed to help you deepen that connection to your higher self, to your soul, to help you understand yourself from the soul level perspective. That's certainly what the Akashic Records do. So, question number 1, who benefits from you being disconnected from your higher self? Question number 2 is who benefits from you being so busy and so distracted that you don't have time to think critically, to ask questions, to actually be able to review information. We are constantly bombarded in this information overload society where we're just blasted with information. Okay, who benefits from that? Who benefits from you being so dysregulated by the society that we've co-created that you are so dysregulated that you can't feel into your body for your discernment. So you can't feel into, is this true? Is this helpful? Is this empowering? Is this in alignment to my soul? Is it not? Now, it's always been the case that people in power or people in positions of power denounce things that they do themselves. Okay, an obvious example of this is during the witch trials, where hundreds of thousands of women were being denounced for being witches when a lot of the time they were the midwives, the healers, the herbal practitioners, or they were just the single women who'd chosen not to marry. Okay. A lot of the time when that was taking place, the people in power had witches, had astrologers, had people who would scry to help them decide where they were going to do a battle or to look into dates when that would be fortuitous for them to invade another country. So it has always been the case that when people in power find something useful, they will use it and often denounce other people using it. So it's okay for them, but it's not okay for everybody. It's not done for the common collective good. It's done in a way that is, we can use this to help ourselves and expand our power and our influence, but we're going to tell you that it's really, really bad. So what we can see here is not only are we programmed and conditioned to have certain beliefs, to act in certain ways by our society, by our parents, but also oftentimes we get a very skewed version of how reality works to ensure that certain people in power stay in power, that certain systems stay in power. Okay? So I just want to look at some of the common narratives that I have observed on social media and how doing the opposite of what these narratives are can actually help you in your spiritual development. So caveat here is I am completely aware that your social media is going to feed you certain information that's run by algorithms. They're very personalized. So the things that I'm mentioning here might not be what you're seeing on social media, but I thought I'm just going to use these as examples to help you then say, right, okay, well, how can I use this narrative to then help me spiritually development in this very difficult time, this mass awakening period that we're experiencing? First of all, it's you need to do more. Okay, so whether that's you need to buy more, consume more, make more money, buy more skincare products, you need more complicated spiritual rituals, it's the more. Okay? And again, let's ask this question, who benefits from this? Because what this you need to do more is essentially saying is you are not good enough as you are. You are not perfectly imperfect, which you all are. Okay? What it's telling you is to keep your focus on the external. Keep your focus outside of yourself instead of turning it internal. So if you truly believe that the kingdom of God is within you, if you truly believe that you have everything you need within you, and yes, other people can help you, support you, teach you, undoubtedly, but that you have everything you need within you, why would you constantly put your focus outside of yourself, into the external, into the buy more, do more, make more money, consume more? Okay? It's all based on that premise that you need something, and that something is outside of you to fix you. You aren't broken in the first place. You are perfectly imperfect. You are a fractal of source consciousness. We just have to remember that. And a lot of the time, remembering that and knowing that, as in knowing from our very beingness, is very hard because we've been programmed, because we've been conditioned. And a lot of the time on your spiritual journey, you're letting go of the programs and the conditions to reconnect to that part of you that is that fractal of source consciousness, that is perfectly imperfect. What we're doing is we're letting go of all of those things that tell us that we're not perfectly imperfect. There's no problem in getting help. There's no problem in, when you're going through difficult times, looking for advice, guidance, support, assistance from outside of you. Nothing wrong with that at all. Okay? But just look at how much the narratives that are being pushed are, you are broken, you are not good enough, you are not worthy, therefore you need to buy this, consume this, do this. Who benefits from that? The next narrative that I see out there is this subtle narrative of don't take time to think. Don't take time to think for yourself. Don't take time to create something new and go through the sometimes very difficult process of connecting into your creative energy. Don't do any of that, because you have to be as efficient as possible. So rather than thinking, rather than creating, rather than doing that, just outsource it. Just ask ChatGPT to do it. Just ask this system here to automate that for you, because we need more. Okay? We need you to be more efficient. Now, human beings are not here just to be efficient or productive. We are part of the spiritual hierarchies. We act as conduits for that higher spiritual guidance information to be delivered through us into Earth to help Earth evolve. Equally, Earth gives us guidance, wisdom, knowledge through us back up to those higher spiritual hierarchies. Okay, so we are part of that evolutionary process. We're not just here to be efficient or productive. The third point I want to talk about is this: everything has to be done faster. This goes hand in hand with number 2. So there's this constant, okay, this person's creating, say, 10 pieces of content a week. Well, why aren't you creating 50 pieces of content a week? Or this person gets up at 5 a.m. in the morning. Okay, well, this person gets up at 2 a.m. in the morning, and they're so much faster and so much more efficient. My question here is, where are you all going? Okay, there's this constant drive to the next goal, the next achievement. And there is nothing wrong with goal setting or having achievements in mind. But from a spiritual perspective, everything is now. Everything is the present moment. Okay. And what you're doing on your spiritual journey is you're trying to connect into that present moment awareness continuously. That's what meditation is all about, connecting into that present moment awareness. And you can't do that if you're constantly focusing your attention and your concentration on a future date or on a point in time in the future where you've achieved a certain goal because society has told you that that's what is important. So slowing down is actually the key to connecting into the now, the present moment awareness. Now, a little side note here, your slowing down does not have to be aesthetically pleasing and curated for the internet, okay? I love a good slow living video, people living off grid in a cabin in the woods and having their own chickens. It's all beautiful, it's all great, okay? But that isn't what truly slowing down is about. Slowing down doesn't have to be, I've got this fully curated lifestyle that looks great for the internet. Slowing down can mean that rather than scrolling through your phone whilst drinking your morning coffee, you just sit and actually taste your morning coffee. You've all heard me talk before about the absolute essential nature of neutral space and connecting into neutral energy so that you can connect into the wisdom of the body, and also so that you can connect into that higher consciousness, those higher beings, to receive downloads. And by slowing down and connecting into that present moment awareness, that's what you're doing. You're opening yourself up to connect into the wisdom of the body, to open yourself up to channel through from higher consciousness. The last narrative that I see a lot is around women and women's roles. What I see a lot of is the kind of trad wife content, this obsession with submission, this you need a partner or you need a kids to be fulfilled in life. And a lot of the time when I see women online coming under attack, it's because they're not following these narratives. So for example, people who are child-free by choice, and they are talking about the lifestyle that they have chosen, you look in the comment section there and it's brutal. They're criticized, they're told that, they're not fulfilling their biological roles, etc., etc. Now, as I've talked about before on the podcast, there is, during this mass awakening period, this reawakening and this remembrance of the divine feminine awakening within people, which is beautiful, okay? But it doesn't surprise me in any way, shape or form that this understanding of this energy has been hijacked and kind of turned into this, let's make women submissive, compliant, because in actuality, feminine energy is not just the softness, the flow that the feminine energy asks for. It's the rage. It's the dark goddess. It's setting firm boundaries. It's looking at the collective wounding that if you are born into a female body in this lifetime, you are definitely coming under of what has happened to women over the centuries. So it isn't just all about the softness, the kind of maiden energy. It's about saying no when something isn't aligned. It's standing up for yourself. It's respecting yourself. It's having true self-love. Okay? So when you are starting to reconnect into your feminine energy, do not be surprised if those first aspects that come up are the dark goddess aspects, are the aspects that are going to help you work through your shadow work. And sometimes if people are under the influence of these narratives, they think there's something wrong with them. They've done something wrong because they're trying to connect into this feminine energy, and what they've got coming up is anger. What they've got coming up is rage, because they think, oh, actually the feminine energy is just this submissive, soft, gentle mother figure who has lots of children. That's not it at all. That feminine energy comes in so many different flavors, and they are all as beautiful as each other. So I think I've gone on enough today. These are just some of the narratives that I see. And I just always want you to ask yourself, who benefits from this? And is this actually true? Or is there a reason this narrative is being fed? Is it a distortion in some way? Okay. I'm not one of those people who's going to tell you never to go on the internet, never to look at social media. I'd be a complete hypocrite if I did that. Okay. But just always take a step back and ask yourself, what's the energy behind this narrative? Okay, not necessarily the individual creators. People are creating things that they genuinely want to share with the world. That's beautiful. But always ask yourself, who benefits? Who benefits if I buy into this program? Who benefits if I buy into this conditioning and take this on as my own? If it's not you in respect of your spiritual development or the collective, your role, because of course we are all interconnected, if it's not to help the collective through their awakening, then what's the point in the narrative and what's the point in the program? And can you let it go? I hope you found this episode interesting. No, it's a bit different to my normal. I just thought that these were the thoughts that have been going on in my mind over the past few weeks. I'd love to hear in the comments if you do find this helpful, and I will of course see you next week for the next episode.